help defend this expansion as well. So at this point, both players just kind of setting up for the macro game. Going to be cranking out some units here pretty soon, I would imagine, and 3 gateways for Cloud right now. Actually, I'm sorry, warp gates. It's hard to call them 2 different things sometimes, but anyways, these warp gates are up and running for Cloud, so he will be able to have a decent amount of production in a relatively short period of time. Although I might like to see him get maybe 1 or 2 more warp gates so that he can keep up that constant pressure with warping in more and more units. Looking back at his expansions, he has not quite fully saturated his mineral line yet, and actually it looks like his main is pretty weak. I'm guessing he transferred some of those probes from his main base to his expansion, but it doesn't look like he has rebuilt them yet. And looking at the production overlay, there's only 1 probe being built right now, and that appears to be at his main, actually 1 queued up as well. So and it looks like BSOS is also upgrading the armor for the Zerg as well, which is very good against the Colossi, because when you can reduce that splash damage, that is going to help immensely. But we do see that the Roachborn coming up now, so it looks like he is going to try to get some Roaches in the mix along with the Hydras. But both players kind of sitting back right now, agreeing to a little bit more of a macro game where they're saying, okay, I'm not gonna attack you anymore. I'm not gonna put any pressure on you immediately, but both players kind of setting up to build their army up and get exactly what they need before they want to clash. And it looks like there's 1 Colossi out and 1 Immortal out for Cloud right now. So we are probably going to see 1 semi-large battle, just like we did in Game 1. Another gateway going down here for Cloud as well too. So he is going to have a total of 4 gateways that allow him to get those fast warping units. But also, just a quick notice, you'll see that Hallucination being researched for the Protoss player, and then also Neural Parasite being researched for the Zerg player. So seeing a little bit more tech than we did last game in the sense of ability upgrades. So we'll see how that plays out. I've seen a lot of Protoss players use the Hallucination ability to hallucinate a Phoenix, so you can use that as a scouting unit. And basically that allows you to scout. The Phoenix are very quick, and despite the fact that these hallucinated units take more damage, that they allow you to scout without risking your own units. And actually it looks like Cloud just killed the gateway that was blocking his entrance. I'm not sure why he did that, because of course he could have gone up into his base and taken out these destructible rocks and basically created an extra opening there. And of course he does not have that blocked off with a pylon with the buildings over here, so he would, once he killed that, he could get in and out of his base relatively easily right there. So I'm not sure exactly why he decided to go ahead and kill off that gateway, but anyways, looking back at the base of BSOS, he does have 1 Infestor out right now and trying to mass Roaches and Hydras primarily, although there is a few Zerglings in there as well, and moving a couple of the Spine Crawlers out to the front of his base. And it looks like Cloud is moving across the map here, going to try to put a little bit of pressure on the front of BSOS's base, and a couple of hallucinated Archons. That first one going down very quickly, so obviously BSOS is going to be aware that there is some hallucination in play right now. And it looks like a lot of force fields going down, trying to narrow down that choke as much as possible. Although fungal growth going down on the Colossi, and the sheer amount of Zerg units that are here are going to be able to push this army back. And it looks like these hallucinated units were not quite enough to scare the Zerg player away. And 1 Colossus and 1 Immortal, the only large units making it back out of that attack right now. A couple of Stalkers and Sentries as well. But the important units are these high tier, more expensive units that cost a lot of gas, because of course when you lose that much gas in a battle, it is very, very bad. But it looks like a Changeling trying to get in there, but the Protoss player Cloud did spot it straight away and was able to kill it before it was able to get too far into the base and do any significant scouting. Looking back at the destructible rocks, I would think that BSOS should really try to get into the base using that rather than trying to get in through this front entrance here, because there are only 1 cannon and 1 sentry guarding that entrance as of right now, and that would force Cloud to move his army out of position in order to defend that, at which point BSOS could just move in from another direction. But anyways, we will see exactly what happens here. More Infestors coming up, so a total of 3 Infestors now, and we do we do see that burrow is being researched, so he will be able to burrow those infestors, and once those infestors are burrowed, they can move underground without having to purchase any additional upgrades like you have to for the roaches. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm guessing he is going to be using that in order to keep his infestors unharmed while they are not being used casting any spells or anything like that. But looking at the Protoss player's research upgrades, we can see that he is upgrading that extended thermal lance for his Colossi, although he only has one right now, but he is building a second one and 2 immortals on the field now. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 immortals on the field now. One of them is hiding underneath that Colossus. And he is also getting armor upgrade for level 1 for his ground army. So a lot of units being built right now, it looks like with the warp gate technology, and he is doing some upgrades as well. So it looks like we are going to be seeing a pretty big battle here as the Protoss player tries to move out with his army, and a lot of Zerglings going down to that combined fire of all these ranged units here. You can see so many Stalkers and Immortals and 1 Colossus overhead too. And it looks like the Colossus has actually been neural parasited, going to start attacking its own units as well as the Immortal, and that completely turns the tide of this battle and makes it absolutely one-sided right now, completely walking through that Protoss army. And it looks like they are going to be able to break this entrance no problem here. And this Colossus, neural parasited, is going to take down his own cannon. This is such a brutal bloodbath right now. These neural parasites absolutely changing the tide of that battle and pretty much making it turn around in favor of BSOS when it looked like he might have been vastly outnumbered with the 2 Colossi and the number of Immortals that he had in there, because again, Immortals are such a strong counter to Roaches and Hydralisks. I'm really surprised at how quickly that turned just by using those infestors with the neural parasite. And it looks like some infested Terrans come out here as well, going to be able to aid in the battle here. The infested Terrans, not super strong. You can see they do 10 damage, but they live for a very short period of time and they only have 50 health. So not the best unit in the world to use, but they definitely have their purpose, and when you need a little bit of an extra punch to go with your army, they can definitely be useful. But it looks like the Zerg player BSOS is bringing in a lot more Roaches right now, and just an overwhelming force of Roaches and Hydras. So it looks like he's going to push up into the Protoss player Cloud base. And also note, he did expand up here at the 12 o'clock position. So, and Cloud is going to GG since his base has been breached. He does not have a significant army right now. So it looks like game 2 going to BSOS. So we're going to have to move on to game 3, an ace match, to see who's going to move on into the round of 16. GG.